Welcome to the GreenUp Academy podcast with Alex Kirby, where we focus on helping you level up your green industry business. Whether it's marketing, finance, employees, or strategy, we talk about everything on this show to help you apply it to your business and change your family and company's future for decades to come. Here's your host, Alex Kirby.
What's going on, everybody? Alex, the GreenUp Academy podcast. Thanks for joining us today. As you guys have seen, we've been doing a lot of content over the last several weeks as we've transitioned from the Down to Business podcast to the GreenUp Academy podcast, where we talk about how to level up your lawn and landscape business in any way, whether it's business, finance, marketing, employees. And today I've got my friend Campbell Clark from Virginia, where I've never been. Where I've never been, as we've already established. And so Campbell and I are just going to talk about, as you guys know, we don't love doing interview styles. We like to have discussions that hopefully give you guys, the listener, great insight into what Campbell has done well, what he's not done well, what I've done well, what I've not done well, and so that we can all learn and grow together.
Absolutely.
So Campbell, fill everybody in, dude. We met through social media, then we met at a quit this year.
Yes, we did.
Tell everybody kind of about yourself in 30 seconds. How old you are, how long you've been in business, and why you got started in the industry.
Great. So my name is Campbell Clark. Started business in 2018. I'm 23 years old. We run out of Chesterfield, Virginia. Revenue is about $400,000. I started because my dad was a big part of my life as he was a general contractor. He ran his own business. That's how I started, with the drive of never wanting to work for anybody else but myself. So I've got 5 employees right now. I'm really looking forward to fire up myself next year and see what we can do.
And that's what I was excited to talk to you about, because, we're recording this. It is December 28th.
Yeah, almost New Year.
We are so close to the new year. And
so many changes.
Especially in a seasonal business, some people don't have seasons in terms of like slow, but they go from mowing to snow. Some people go from mowing to slow.
But
it depends on where you're at. But what I want to ask you, I guess, is when you say you're excited for the new year, like, what are you pumped about? So you're doing $400,000. That's more than the average company, more than the average guy. That's super solid. We'll talk about this in a minute, but around that number is when things get more complicated, more around $500,000.
Yep.
And so what you made a comment. What are you so excited about? Tell me what are you excited about for your company? What are you excited about?
So I'm not just excited, I'm fired up. I've been really focusing on my workers this year and getting trained. So I've got a great 5 guys. So I know that I can kind of put my efforts to somewhere else, with set contracts with clients of, no questions asked. Money's going to hit the bank every single month. We know what we're doing now. We know what we're going to have to do for these clients, and it's going to get done because it's a contract,
Sure.
That's just hit the ground running with a little new offers. We started doing a little bit of junk removal during the off season. We offer the snow removal aspect of everything. So a lot of new commercial clients have hit our doors since we've started offering the snow removal service as of last year. So we've got our toes into everything. We've got experience behind us, and we're really looking forward to offer it in a full wraparound contract.
So what's your, Campbell, what's your why? So why are you doing this? So why are you fired up? Are you fired up because 10 years from now you want to have a piece of land with a couple kids? Are you fired up because you want to have a Lambo?
Absolutely. Yeah. Everyone has to have a why behind it. And I know you're going to ask this question.
I want to hear yours, because that's what I asked. If you're going to be fired up for next year, there's a why behind that. So I want to hear that.
Yeah. So great question. And it happens to fall at this time of the year. I love this time of the year. I love to give my guys. I would have nothing I would want nothing more in life to, give everything to my workers. I have workers that have been from nothing, and now that they're working with us, they're happy. They were able to give their kids things for Christmas. So giving them the opportunity to, come to work and be excited, it just means the world to me. Sure, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, you must want a Lamborghini or something." Sure, don't get me wrong. We all have self goals. We want to go move out the piece of land. We want to have this car. I love cars. I love hobbies. I love sports. I want a family, but all in all, it's my drive is for my guys. I grew up in a household that my mom really worked her tail off for me, and we didn't have everything. So I want to make sure I can give my guys something because I wasn't given that opportunity.
There we go. There's the real why, not the
hire me up.
There's the real why is you saw and you lived through something that you don't want your people you provide an opportunity for. I was just talking to one of my marketing team members, Mac, he's our videographer.
Yep.
So anything you see on the GreenUp Academy, he's edited, filmed, he does a lot of content. So, and Mac, and I was just telling him about how I had hired over 100 people in my 7 years. Not necessarily a good thing, but I always told guys that, until you get to like, I don't know what size company, but somewhere in that 30 to 40 range, I don't think it's realistic to expect guys to stay more than like 1 to 3 years. That's just
I've heard it. I've heard from anywhere from about 3 to 6.
That's my opinion, but I know I think it's awesome if you can. I'm just saying that like you should expect a decent employee to stay some. But I was telling them that like I used to be very vocal about that at Trifecta, my landscape company. I would say when I would hire a guy, I'd be like, hey, if you're here 2 years and this is a bridge to get you to the island that you want to be on, I'm super stoked for that.
Absolutely.
I know that there's not 18 manager positions and blah, blah, blah. Like we have 2, right? And so what I was telling him was I only had 10 guys out of the 100 who like I felt like took advantage of the type of atmosphere that we gave them. And whether that be like we did 410, so you had a day off on Fridays, whether that be good pay or taking overtime when you wanted it, whether that be the continuing education speakers we had come in. I would pay guys to go if they wanted to go and go to like leadership stuff, whatever. But it's crazy how much you can love your guys and they not realize how much you want for them is kind of what I was getting at. Like, because at the end of the day, we live in a society where we always feel like we got to look out for ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to trust the man, the boss, the government, right? So that's
Feels
something
like
that
somebody's already taking advantage of you.
exactly. And I kind of hope that changes over the next some odd time where I remember like my parents, our parents growing up, they worked places for 20, 25 years,
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
some of that's good, some of that wasn't. They were like naive and worked somewhere and made nothing for 20 years. But some of it was because they really did love where they worked and they were content more than we are.
Yeah. They have the opportunity to grow. And, that's different in the fields than lawn care. We don't always have that opportunity to grow. Like you're saying, only 2 major positions.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. So I love to hear that, dude. I mean, I think your why's got to be right. I know we talk about that on a lot of content, but I hear like, "What's your why?" And it's like, "Man, I want to get a PJ or a private jet," or it's like, dude, like who cares about that? Let's talk about things of impact and substance. But all right, so let's kind of jump into like looking at your company, and using that as a way for like just imagine when we talk about your company, guys are going to go or be able to relate like, oh, my company does this. And so it's really helpful when we can kind of look at like an audit of what you're doing and stuff. So you're at 400K. And I asked you a question off air, and I asked you, what is like your main thing? And you were like, when can I get out of the field? When can I move into a more like operations or general manager role, right? So let's kind of go over. You got 5 employees full time, at roughly 40K a year, right? So that's 200K in employee costs, right?
Yes, sir.
So that's a little higher than you want. Why do you think? So let's ask the question. I tell people you want to be at 30 to 40% labor costs. You're probably in that 45% range.
Yes, I am.
Why do you feel like? Well, let me ask you a question. Was your money in that cost?
No.
Okay, so why do you feel like your labor costs were a little higher than they should have been? Or do you agree?
Uh,
You agree. Do you
yeah,
agree
I
that
totally
they
agree.
were?
Absolutely. Yeah. I've seen the numbers. I see the payroll every week, and I'm
Yeah.
okay with it for the sole purpose of I know where I want to be, and I know I've got the manpower to do it. So in the area I am, I've recognized the opportunity of the clientele. I have the opportunity to get new clientele and grow to where I want to be. So I'm okay with paying these guys a little bit more and seeing this percentage being a little bit higher for now because I know it's going to come down.
Was it overtime though? Like, were you giving a lot of overtime? Like, what do you think the cause was? Was it overtime? Was it guys sitting in the truck too long? Like, what do you think the identity was for it being 5 to 10% too high?
That's a great question.
If
Yes,
you
I
have,
would say
you have a guess.
no, great question. I would say a lot of it was overtime from training. We do a lot of off days of training.
Yeah.
Not so much windshield time, um, but you know, not to what's the word I'm looking for? Micromanage your workers. I found out that micromanaging workers either, yes, it can put a lot of stress on yourself, but it also can be frowned upon by the employee. The employee will hate to be micromanaged. So one, if you give them the opportunity to be a little more free, to have the opportunity for them to take a breath and, evaluate what they're doing. Sure, it's going to take a little bit longer time, but they're going to understand that they can breathe. They're not being forced. They can learn a lot in a better environment. So it may take a little longer. That's why.
It's no, it's a good. I think that's something to look into when you get your reports here in a couple days.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this, like, so for guys who are listening, make sure you have a quick, if it's QuickBooks or whatever, go to your reports and go to profit and loss and look at your quarterly reports and then your annual report. So you can see, and you can click a button where it gives you your percentages of your revenue. And so I
Very important.
definitely found out, like, so I was getting crushed. Like in the beginning of my company, when I had like 5, 6, 7, 10 guys. I gave so much overtime and I was cool with it. But then as like COVID got going, I realized that one, I had to give guys raises, which means overtime gets high. And then two,
Absolutely.
about 20, like last year, 2022, I stopped giving overtime opportunities. Like we did 410s model. And so
Correct.
we would say, hey, man, if you want to come in Friday, it's all straight overtime. And what I kind of quickly realized is guys were gassed, like they were out of gas because we did the
Yeah,
410 model.
absolutely.
And so one, they would come in on Fridays and be earning, if they were making $17 an hour, they're making like $25 an hour now. And yes, 24, 25. And so they're not only are they making the most money on a Friday, they're already tired and they're not motivated to do any more work.
They're not going to provide.
For me, so like that's something to think about and look at, like how can you keep them fresh so that if you do need to pay overtime,
Mhm.
uh, you can get your money's worth because you're paying them more than you ever have to do work that they're not even doing they're not producing like they would on a Tuesday.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And
So
that's totally different model than what we run by, but I see where you're coming from. And people need to understand that overworking guys is not going, can't be a normal thing. It really can't. Get your 40 hours and get them home to their families. But
what
with
model do you run?
we run 5/8s and a very tight route. So it's not as much windshield time. It's more of we can spend the time in the morning for a 20, 15, 20-minute morning meeting and, still be okay with it because our job's 5 minutes down the road.
So what happens when it rains on a Friday when you have a route scheduled on Friday?
Great question. So but I'll take that one with a grain of salt because if that happens, we'll either take the day off and or we'll either come into the shop, clean trucks, clean shop, clean mowers because my guys need to be hands on with the things they have so they can take care of so we can take care of them.
So they come back in Saturday though to do the Friday route?
Not Not if we get but so much rain. So if we have so much rain before Wednesday, they're notified that they have to work a weekend. That's just what I've gone by.
Have you thought about the 410s? Have you looked at it?
I have in my area. I don't really think it's as manageable as maybe in your area. It gets really hot here. I don't want to say my guys are sissies, but for all sake, I haven't tried it. I'd love to give it a shot, but it's a little scary. And we can go into a whole nother conversation about that. But I found great success with my 5/8s and getting things done. And all in all, that's what it's about.
Yeah, I think it's something to think about, like, because you said the heat, but like it wouldn't, that heat wouldn't affect it. It's the same. It actually would benefit because you'd have one less day outside.
Yeah, technically, and you wouldn't have as many trucks out for gas
Like,
purposes
and I don't know if you've heard me talk about it long form, but like I have studied the 410s thing
oh yeah.
like a nerd. Like I just think like I really did. And
Mhm.
again, you just like maintenance on the vehicles. You have a day to do it. You have a
Yep.
day for rain. Like nobody wants to, especially Campbell as you get older. Like when you have kids, like I
Mhm.
literally coached my daughter's t-ball team this season, and
Nice.
every game was Saturday morning. So
Good.
like it would have been a non-negotiable for not just
Hmm.
but any of my guys who had kids.
Correct.
And
And
I wouldn't have expected them to. I'm not going to let them miss their daughter's t-ball game. There's no
no,
way.
no.
So it's
And can
like,
you?
yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. So one quick question about that 410. When you have that 410 schedule and it rains a Tuesday, so they're going to work Friday. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, you flip it.
You flip it.
You
Okay.
literally just flip you push the schedule down, but you flip their time. So now they know they're working Friday.
Yep.
They can you really try I try to never bring my guys in except if I had a foreman, which I called a foreman a
Hmm.
captain of the crew
So,
leaders.
yep.
So I had 8 crew leaders and I would have one foreman or two. And so they would be like the team captains of the crews.
Yep.
So they would come in for a half day to get everything ready for the next day.
Understood.
The managers would still come in, except we would let them go early because on Fridays I let my managers go early by 2 o'clock.
Hmm.
So they would flip that day to a 2 o'clock day on the Tuesday.
Interesting. Okay.
So it
Yeah,
was
we could elaborate that for a while. That'd be another great podcast. We could touch it too. So,
I'd
but
love to do a long form on it.
yeah,
I'm gonna do a
yeah.
course. I'm gonna do a course for the GreenUp Academy on it.
Okay, cool,
So
awesome.
I've got we've got our free ones coming out, but I've got
Hmm.
probably 3 or 4 that I've got like that, like where I'm gonna do like an hour-long course on how to institute a 410s and all the way to think
Hmm.
about it. Because again, it just, man, like no one wants to work the weekend, like nobody, like it's the worst.
No,
But
yeah,
I'd rather stay out, if like my guys like, hey, um, you're gonna have to stay out an hour longer and finish this so we can not have to work Friday.
yeah, yeah.
Like, big deal if you're 45 minutes later home rather than like a whole day.
Correct. Yeah,
But
and
it's
I'm sure a lot of people are looking at me like, hey, this guy's young. He don't mind working Saturday, but you've got older employees that just have families, and they'd be like looking at me crazy if
yeah,
they had make me work on Saturdays. And
I think
a
and
blessing that we haven't had often, but that's
absolutely.
true.
And think about this too, is like your clients are home on Saturday.
They are.
So
Yeah.
they
Who
don't
would
want to
want that
be
lawnmower in the backyard?
they don't,
Nobody.
dude. They don't want
No.
that. They don't want the blower rolling. They want to
You see
sleep
it
in.
both ways, man. You
It's
really
both
do.
way. It's both
Hmm.
ways, dude. So
Absolutely.
I'm gonna do a long form on that. But let's talk a little bit about um you talked about paying yourself hourly with me off air. And this is something that I literally talk about probably weekly with guys, is like it's really scary to start paying yourself like a flat rate because as an owner, it's like you want to have the flexibility to like cash flow and not pay yourself.
Yeah.
But you talk about like you got on a pretty good way of paying yourself the last 6 months. Have you thought about going to a flat rate salary for 2024? What's your thoughts on like how you're going to pay yourself so that you can, because one of the big mistakes people make is that they try to scale their business 3, 4, 5 years and they pay themselves almost nothing. And then what happens if it doesn't work out and you just worked 5 years for nothing, right?
Absolutely.
Or,
Absolutely.
or you get the expenses of the company not needing to pay yourself. So you grow it in a way that like you didn't account for your needs, and then you need the money, whether it's family now, you're not 22 anymore, and you're like, dang, the business can't support my salary now, right? So kind of
Absolutely.
your thoughts on all that.
So yes, I did start paying off myself salary, and this was the first full year on the books. Last year we started pretty early doing it, but as far as paying myself on the books this year, I did X amount first half of the year, and then I give myself a little more in the back half of the year. So my reasoning for that, and yes, I want to transition to salary, but my main point of reasoning to do that was to find a good number that worked for not only myself and my new lifestyle. Sure, I'm 23. I just bought a house. I got hobbies. Everybody's got hobbies, but you got to figure out where you fit in with your your life, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I
Yeah,
did
how much?
that.
How much is a house where you're at, bro?
$300,000, man.
No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Good for you, man.
$300,000. Yeah.
Sick.
And, frankly enough, I have a Corvette and I love to go fast. So I love having my cars as my hobbies. So I got to put some sorts of that because when I'm not working those Saturdays, I like to go out and play. So I find that number to change and jump around to a number that works for me and
Yeah,
my girlfriend. My girlfriend lives with me, and
sure.
sure, I'm only 23, but I found that number that works for myself and my business. And
Absolutely.
I'm a portray to maybe a good salary number next year that works.
I'll give you a range. I think it depends a little bit, but and we'll get into like how it depends with debt and what you're looking at with that. But I think that like my first 3 years, I paid myself 40 grand so that I could cash flow debt free business. That was my thing.
Absolutely.
And
Good. Good.
I was married with no kids yet. We got a kids to year 3, but so
Yeah.
I could do it. Like you find out, you're right. You find a number that works for you and your
Yes,
situation,
sir.
right?
Absolutely.
But the biggest thing is just making sure it's stable because I know guys, I literally have a friend who has $1 million company that makes money in some other ways, kind of, and he's like, I'll pay myself 300 a week or 200. And I'm like, dude, stop doing that. Like
Ooh.
you
Yeah.
you gotta pay yourself something.
Yeah.
It doesn't be a big number, but something stable so that your company can get used to it. You know what I mean?
Correct. Correct. Not. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
tell me about your your business's health. How much debt do you have? How much cash in the bank? Like, tell me about what the body of the business is looking like. Is it looking
Yeah. Great
healthy?
question. So this is the kinds of questions I asked not too long ago until I find some guidance, and we'll talk about that later about finding guidance. But so 5 employees, a consistent, a full work week, and paying payroll. Payroll can almost come out to 3,000, 4,000 a week. I like to keep a good number in the bank as a security of about 25 to $30,000, just as a safe number.
Love it.
And then amount of debt, probably honestly, since I just bought a really nice machine.
What you got? Machine finance? What's finance? Machine what?
Finance, the machine is financed. I just bought a mini skid steer I financed. But
Yeah.
upon that and a few other small pieces of equipment, it's probably $60,000. Nothing crazy.
So you're saying before the mini, it was only like 15?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, like 15 and small miscellaneous stuff in the mini.
yeah.
Okay, cool. That's not
No,
crazy.
not at all. And I was not a fan of the debt. And a lot of people that may be listening may say like, "Oh, I don't want to go into debt," but you got to. And I realized what those machines did for me, and I don't regret it whatsoever.
Well, I think that's interesting. You're talking to the no debt guy here, Campbell.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, you know that? Yeah, I'm big
Yeah,
on
but you've been in business a lot longer than us, and I'm referring to, when you're first getting started, maybe 4 years in or something like that. You know, it's a big change to not have that lawnmower that's broken down every month.
it is. And that's why I was saying like I started trifecta with bad advice from an accountant and I got debt like 40 grand and then I paid it off in 6 months. But I didn't have
Okay.
no debt forward. And now it is hard. Like it's not. And then I have my reasons. And look, I'm not like a debt. I don't like debt, but I don't hate it like I used to.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not comfortable with it. I wouldn't recommend it for people, but I'm not going to kill anybody. But here's the thing that a couple things to think about. Like make sure that you're using that mini 80% of the time.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
As long as the asset's utilized. Um, the other one is pay off those little debts as soon as you can.
Hmm.
If you only got that one mini payment of like probably 1,200, 1,400 a month, it sounds like
Less than that.
less than that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Because renting a mini is 1,000 a week.
Correct. Yeah,
So
absolutely. And I thought about
yeah,
all these items.
yeah, I'm sure you
Yeah.
have. I'm saying this for the listeners, right? So
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't get me
they
wrong.
can hear through your example because there's a lot of guys who probably are listening right now that are thinking about that. We're at tax write off season, very end of
Hmm.
it. So
Absolutely.
they're probably thinking, dang, should I buy this? Should I not?
Hmm.
Um, so this is just some of that. But I mean, you're in a pretty good spot. I would say like if you can not add any more on this, you've got a chance to again, you're right, dude. Like there are moments where like I got this with trifecta. I was at 1.6 million bucks and the next threshold, we'll get to that your other question here with with my little story here.
Mm-hmm.
That next threshold from people who taught me like Corey Ballard and stuff like that is kind of going to after 2 million is like to 4 to 5 million. It's a big jump with growth. You need a big
Mm-hmm.
like facility. Like that was a big one for me of why I sold my company. Is like I was out of rental space. I had 21 employees, so that's 21 vehicles. We had
Mm-hmm.
10 vehicles in the fleet, so 31 parking spots plus trailers, dumpster, storage container. You're looking at like 40 spots, right?
Yeah.
Where are you going to rent 40 spots?
That's not even considered overhead storage either.
No,
You know?
no, it's
No.
not. Exactly.
No.
So you got 40 spots I needed plus office space. And it's like, okay,
Right.
it's time to buy or build a facility. And I just did not want to go buy a 600 to $800,000 piece of property. Like, so I wasn't comfortable with it. And so there's these thresholds of growth. And we'll get into your thing, which is your question was when do I get out of the field? So let's get to that. It's like these thresholds are like, owner operator, you can do 100 to 200K, you and one guy, right? And then you've got the one you're in, which is like 200 to 500K, which is like me and a couple crews, me and my boys, not boys, but like small guys. We know each other. We're cool. We go fishing, whatever, after work. And that's a pretty fun place to be. You can make, 60 to 100K profit and you're
Absolutely.
happy, right? And then you
It's
get to
been beautiful.
500, then you get to 500 ish, 550, whatever. And I'm speaking more on the maintenance company side stuff,
Correct.
but
Yep. Yep.
maintenance, like then it's like, okay, like I need a manager. If I'm the manager, I need another crew leader. Um, because I went from 500 to a million. So I became a manager out
Mm.
of the field and I hired one. So like I went
Okay.
GM and then I hired a production manager. So I had
Okay.
5 crews and he managed the crews and I did sales and admin.
Okay.
So like you're about to hit that. You're about to hit that growth thing where you jump out of the field at 500-600 grand
Mm.
and now you're managing the guys and selling.
Correct.
And so you kind of ride that to about a million,
Okay.
maybe a little less, and then that's when you have to hire another manager. Like
Understood.
you manage a manager who manages your guys, but it's really it's hard. It's hard to like those thresholds are difficult. That's why a lot of people don't do it. Like your typical
Mm-hmm.
lawn landscape full-time guy is 150 to 250K. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's your average guy. And then you've got like I think 80% of the market is that or something like that. And so I guess like what does life look like with your employees right now? Like, are you feeling pretty good about your team that if you stepped out of the field, you're ready or what?
Absolutely. I love the team we have. Super honorable, super reliable, and to put it in hindsight, I think I put on a leaf blower for leaf season maybe 4 days out of the month and a half we did them for. I'll step in when some guy's out and sick, something like that. But I trust them, and that's why I'm
Tell our
so fired
audience,
up.
tell everybody how you found a good team. Tell us like what the secret was in getting good guys and culture and all that.
Well, that could be a full podcast of itself, but I've always been to the guy that says treat others as you want to be treated, man. It's as simple as that, honestly. Give them a fair pay, what they deserve. Treat them with respect. They'll treat you with respect. If they don't treat you with respect, move on. You know, that's all I'm gonna say. Because it's fair training, fair pay, they'll give it right back. And that's what all my guys do right now.
I love that. Tell me kind of what you did for Christmas. I saw you didn't you do a little something for Christmas? Tell me
Yeah,
kind
for
of
Christmas,
tell me here.
yep. So for Christmas, we give everybody the last week off. We give them a holiday gift, not a bonus. Don't consider it as a bonus, but I considered it as a holiday gift. They all got customized jackets as well, with their names on it, with a logo on it, and obviously this week off, so they can spend it with their family and for the holiday.
Is it a paid week off?
It's not a full paid week off, no, sir. It's they paid for the Christmas, but their gift kind of compensates for that.
Yeah, so one thing to think about for next year that because I love that we did this at Trifecta. We gave everyone between Christmas and New Year's off. We would say
Awesome.
we would pay. We did 410, so we would say we'll pay you to two of the days,
Hmm.
and we will allow you to roll a PTO day or like use your PTO for the other two.
Okay. That's
So I
great.
don't know. Yeah, so that's something to think about is like give them a notice that hey, make sure you save a couple days for that week that we'll let you
Hmm.
use. We'll
Yeah,
pay you two
absolutely. And
days.
that's
Yeah.
way two totally different companies and revenue basis. But one thing that everybody needs to understand is regularize giving your employees gifts, because
It's
without
a great
them,
idea.
you're
I love
nothing.
that idea.
Yeah. Regularize that. Like go give them lunch for once a week. It's not hard. It's not expensive.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. It's like, oh, I push everybody to treat their guys with the most respect.
The gift thing's great. Like giving them something that they wouldn't have thought to get themselves,
Yep.
that they probably would want, but they didn't like, oh, I don't want to spend the 80, $100, $120, whatever it was.
Correct.
To do that. I love that because that's a great surprise, and
I could show everybody the pictures of them because I had a photographer come because the same way they were our team pictures.
yeah.
They were ecstatic, and it was such a blessing to come from, 2 years ago where we were into now, and to see their faces. It was a blessing.
Well, dude, you've grown and great. Like, yes, like our companies are different in revenue, but it's just time. Like
Yeah,
it
it
took
is time. Yeah, I may be
70,
23, but
yeah.
everybody has the same time of day as
I
me,
didn't
and
even start till I was 24. Like you're way ahead of the game, dude.
yeah,
Way
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. And
I'm in so go
I don't
ahead.
think I told the viewers, but we're more of a lawn maintenance company. We do landscaping, but not as much. We're lawn maintenance more than anything. So we don't
So
do these big $50,000 contracts.
what made you get the mini then? Tell me the thought on getting the mini
Great
if you
question. So that's what we're trying to transition to. I have a really big heart desire for landscaping, and I've studied myself to, get my toes into it next year. And that's something I'd love to kind of chat with you with.
yeah.
And I've talked with the Southern Standards, and he does a lot of that stuff down there in Georgia as well. So,
And Sam's my guy. Sam,
yeah, Sam.
I
Yep.
got a call with Sam next Thursday. We do marketing for Sam and
Good.
uh,
Good. I look
Sam
up
is
to him a lot.
I love Sam. I've been talking to him for years. I'm so impressed with him. Dude, I got a cool story about Sam. He
Oh yeah.
when we went to Equip this year, we've been doing his marketing for gosh, 2 years, a year and a half. It's been a long time
Mm,
now. And
nice.
yeah, and so we've been helping him grow and he's growing by himself, but we help him on the social side digitally. Sam was like, "Hey, I want to take you and your couple guys, my marketing team guys to dinner." After Thursday night. I was like, dude, that's so like generous. Thank you. And I'm thinking we're going to like Longhorns, like somewhere good, decent for $100 for 5 people or something.
Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah.
Sam pulls us up to this. I guess you probably know our listeners if you go to Louisville. I cannot
Yeah.
remember what it's called. It's that like Brazilian steakhouse. You know what I'm talking about?
I
Brazeros or something.
don't. We were in Louisville at the same time, and
Yeah.
we looked around for places to go, and
It was
we
on
didn't find
It
anywhere.
was on 4th Street. It was like
Oh,
main
yeah, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I
dude.
walked right by it.
I'm not gonna say how much it costs per person. When I say I've never eaten better in my life, I'm like a meat chicken guy, so it was like every type of chicken, lamb, anything you can imagine. Dude, when he got the bill, I was like, Sam, let me pay for this. And he was just like, nah, you guys do so much for me. Anyways, super generous dude. Like, I
Fire
couldn't
me
believe
up.
it. I
I love
was
it.
so full, dude. I was
Yeah,
so full.
yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
not
And
like
that's quite the gesture, man. That's
it
awesome.
is, dude. It means a lot. And so
Good.
Sam, if you guys don't know Sam, he's with Southern Standard out of Georgia, and he's
Yeah,
multi-million-dollar company at age like
yeah.
24, and
Yep.
just
Go follow him on Instagram because I'm
yeah,
not plugging his Instagram or anything, but that Instagram fires me up every day. There's a post every single day, every other day, whatever. But that's what sometimes makes me get some motivation during the day.
I love it. Well,
Yeah.
that's my team helping him do some of that, and
Good.
he's killing it, man. So, all right, let's end with this here,
Yep.
Campbell. So you were talking about like your vision for your company and mentor. You talk about mentorship and how that's going to be a part of your growth, which we don't need to talk about that right now. It's going to take too long. But
Yeah.
what is your vision? Like, what keeps your vision focused is a question I want to ask because in the lawn and landscape industry, there's opportunity at every corner. You can,
Yeah.
this, that, fert, spraying,
Yep.
mowing. So, like, what's keeping you focused, and what are you doing? Like a strategic? Have you thought about like? Do you have a vision board? Some people have. Like,
I got a whiteboard behind me that's usually full of stuff. I erased it for this, but nobody needs to know what's going on behind the walls or anything. But
I'm with
I do
that.
I do have some visions. I do. I love lawn care. I love lawn treatments. So with spraying, fertilization, weed control, things like that, that's another big drive. And there's so much opportunity for it, man. Our area has a local company, Virginia Green, that's done fantastic. That's just just ways that I can see myself growing. But I also have myself at a cap where I want to stay at. I don't want to grow to those 50 employees and things like that. But what really keeps me going is honestly the workers, my guys, and getting out there and doing outdoor work. It sounds so stereotypical, but I love it. I love the change of before and afters. I love to see the customer's face and them being surprised that somebody my age can do this, and it just makes myself really happy. And that's where and I can boast on myself because I've studied and I've done this and I've bought this to get this product, and the customer's face reflects it, and I can just be proud of myself. So that's what really keeps me going.
I appreciate that transparency. Like, this is one thing as a person who loves the green industry, and I hope I'm showing that by all the resources I'm doing. Like, the green industry changed my life, and it changes
that podcast,
and it changes everybody's lives, dude, if you allow it to. And
absolutely.
It doesn't change it financially. Like, you're making the best point ever. It's like, it changes your character. It makes you have pride. It makes you take, ultimate pride in what you do and the way you treat people. And
I've got workers that have their lives have changed. I don't need to go in detail, but their lives have changed. It's a blessing. It really is. It's awesome.
It is a blessing. And I love you saying that, because for people listening, I hope you're taking away from this podcast that no matter what size revenue, no matter how many employees, no matter the number either, like if it's 50 people or 3, your responsibility is to help others that God has put in your path and your place. And
you're providing,
and you never know, what they're going through. You never know what I talked about, the bridge. One of my big things that when I sold my company, I'll end with this, Campbell, is when I sold my company, it was hard because I've had some of these guys for a couple of years and they all
I can only imagine.
Yeah, that part was hard. It wasn't like the baby, like, oh, my baby. It wasn't that at all. It was more like wanting to make sure. It was kind of like bittersweet because I was like, did I do enough in the time I had? And so my hope is that one day several of them call me, whether it's for help, guidance, a referral, reference for a job,
a self-reflection.
Yeah.
Look where I'm at, boss. Look where I'm at.
100%. And if that's what it was worth it all. You know what I mean?
Amen to that. Amen to that.
Because again, without people helping me, I never would be where I am. And I feel like that's what our world has lost. I keep up with politics more than I should. And it's sad how selfish everything has gotten, like so selfish. And so, Campbell, you give me hope today, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man.
Let people know where they can find you on social media before we wrap up.
You can find us at Campbell's Lawn Care on Instagram and Campbell's Lawn Care on Facebook. I don't, keep it with the reels like you do, but I love, posting what we do on a daily basis. Some of the equipment we have, all my guys' smiling faces. So that's where you can find us.
Awesome. And guys, if you don't know, we have our GreenUp Academy membership. The crew is wrapping up that free first month. You can cancel anytime. It's wrapping up here in like 3 or 4 days. So make sure you sign.
Got the email right here, guys. Don't miss.
It's gonna be cool. I'm excited. Our first session is going to be January 8th for the weekly calls. So if you're signed up by the end of, I think that's January 5th, the Friday before, then you're in for that month. We're not going to let people come in that month. I don't think we are. Where you insert in, you know what I'm saying? Like parachute in. We want people to sign up for that month because we're going to have a theme each month. So make sure you do that. Campbell, I appreciate you, dude. And
thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you guys for listening to the GreenUp Academy podcast, where we talk about how to level up your green industry business and all the things in between that. See you next time, guys.